Hi, my name is Victoria Day, and I'm a registered somatic movement educator and therapist, and a certified movement analyst located in Central Missouri. You can find out more about my work by reading down below in the description or by checking out my website, embodimentllc.com. So today's video is on mobility and stability. And if you haven't already checked out the video on three-dimensional breathing, I invite you to go watch that, explore that, give yourself some time to really embody that sensation of feeling the shape that the movement of your breath makes in your body. And that will bring you, make you more prepared for this video, which really moves with the second developmental pattern of movement, or what we as adults can call the second developmental pattern of connectivity, or pattern of connectivity. And that is known as, some people call it core-distal, meaning moving from the core out to the very endpoints. Some people call it navel radiation, the idea that it's the movement that when you were in utero and then as an infant, developmentally, you moved from the navel area, from where the umbilical cord was attached, out, and were able to grow away from that point and back in. And so that's the pattern that we're working with today. So we're bringing the breath in because these are developmental. And so they do, breath supports core-distal supports all your more complex actions all the way up to cross-lateral, which is what we do when we walk. But today we're just going to spend, I'm hoping 10 to 15 minutes. I like to keep these short so people feel comfortable coming back to them and really using them for their daily practice. Today we're just going to do some simple breathing and feeling the growing and shrinking. So find a chair that has a firm surface, and you can do this also laying on the floor. I find it a little bit more difficult to film on the floor, so that's one of the reasons that I'm choosing a chair. You also can do these standing up. This is not just about sitting in a chair, but for today's purpose, this is the simplest way to share with you. Okay. So as you know, if you have explored with me before, I always start with something that I call the check-in. If you have not, if you've wandered onto this video, but you haven't watched the check-in videos that I've created, please, again, check down in the description below, and I'll have attached the link, and start back there. Really give yourself the opportunity to do this in a sequential way that will really support your learning. So the check-in is made up of three things. So very quickly, it is letting yourself just take a moment to check in how you are being supported, where the support is coming in through your pelvic floor, through your feet. I'm sitting away from the back of my chair. And I would invite you, if that doesn't feel comfortable, then you really need to go back to earlier, to either the check-in or the breath video, or contact me for individual sessions. But if you are able to sit up with your head over heart, your heart over your diaphragm over your pelvic floor, super. Okay. We all start where we can start. So letting yourself feel the support coming up through the sits bones, through the front and the back half of your pelvis. And so now we're doing a little orienting, which is the second part of the check-in. And really also feeling the whole bottom of your feet, all 10 toes, the 10 balls behind the toes, both the inside and the outside of the heel. And feel how your knee is supported by the floor through your feet. And just let yourself notice how your upper body is supported by the pelvic floor, by the floor, by the feet. And then bringing yourself into the breath. And because I'm assuming you have recently watched the 3-dimensional breathing, we're not going to go into that deeply, other than to just ask you to let yourself put your hands anywhere on your torso, front, back, body, high, low, that give you that sense that you are breathing and growing from the core down into the femoral joint, up into the shoulder joint, down into the pelvic floor, up into the base of your skull. So breathing in and exhaling, breathing out. Letting the outside world flow in, you grow away from the core, out into these joints, and then you exhale, flex back in the core. Not just in the core, is not just in the front of the body, it really goes through the body. It also comes up from the pelvic floor through the whole, the core of your torso. So letting yourself feel that expansion and contraction, growing and shrinking. And as you grow and shrink, let yourself soften your upper body without becoming passive. We call this yield. So you're really allowing yourself to feel how the upper body is supported by the pelvic floor. So letting go of just a little bit of that tension. If it feels uncomfortable for you to let go, then like it creates a spasm or a response in your upper body, then that's too much. Let yourself always do it by small increments. Titrate, toggling is what I like to call it with my clients, where you're just sort of exploring, softening the shoulder blades as they're dripping down the back body, softening the jaw and the neck, and really allow the lower half of the body to be supportive and to really be your foundation. Okay? And then if you've watched the 3-dimensional breath video, we explored body halves. So just right now, if you haven't, you can stop and go back to that, or you can just try to figure out from what I'm about to say. Just letting yourself really picture right and left body. Right and left upper body being supported by right and left lower body. Feeling the stability in both legs. And then letting yourself start to just shift your weight with your breath. Don't hold your breath. From the left to the right, feeling how the front and the back half of your pelvis on the right side and then the left side become activated. And just letting yourself, as you move towards the right side, I'm going to invite you, we've yielded, we're trusting, just let yourself gently push into that right foot, feel the right pelvic floor pushing down into the chair gently. Like you're not trying to push anything away, you're just trying to feel, activate the strength in your own body, and then let that push release into yield, into the pelvic floor. Your weight is even in both feet. Let yourself start to weight shift over into the left side and push gently into the left foot, into the left pelvic floor as you breathe. And maybe you notice that it's easier to push on an inhale or an exhale. Right? This is your exploration. Okay, so now you've just take a moment to let yourself again check that your head is over your heart. Your head's three-dimensional, so it's not the front, but the front and the back halves of your head rest over the front and the back halves of your heart. The right and left halves of your head, your skull, over the right and left halves of your heart, which is a little off because your heart is a little to the left, but the metaphorical heart space. And again, front and back of diaphragm, right and left, front and back of pelvis, right and left of pelvis. Right? And then I'm going to invite you to let yourself choose which leg is the stable leg. So I'm choosing my right. I don't know what it looks like to you on the video, but this is my right leg. And so letting myself just feel that gentle push in that leg. This is the stable leg. I fill up. I fill up through my torso. I feel it filling up into this femoral joint. Sorry, I lost my words there for a second. And I invite my body to grow through the left leg, from the core out through the left leg. And then shrink. Grow from the core, from the breath, shrink. This leg is stable. This half is stable, even as this half is mobile. I can bring the whole body half into it, if I so desire. It also brings my head and tail into it. Right? Okay, I'm going to do that from the side with my left leg being stable so that you can just see that perspective. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to be looking forward. I'll try to keep my volume loud enough that you can hear me. So again, you're going to let yourself feel knees over ankles, feet on the floor. Right? Head, skull over heart space, over diaphragm, over pelvic floor. Softening the upper body, allowing yourself to just feel the shoulder blades dripping down the back body without like arching like this, right? Just gently softening. Softening with the breath, which is the first pattern of connectivity in our body, growing and shrinking. And then I bring my awareness to the second pattern, which is as I am breathing, it stimulates me to also expand and contract, or extend and flex. Right? So as I breathe in, I feel that pressure, and I allow the right leg to extend, and then I allow the right leg to flex. And so here's the difference. Like I can, without doing any of that, I can put my leg out, I can bring it in. And that's all muscular. What I'm inviting you to do, so it's very cortical. Like I know the action, I can perform it. I can perform the action of straightening my leg and then bringing my knee towards my chest. And I'm inviting you to let yourself claim your birthright of these patterns that are deep within you, that are always ready to support the more complex patterns. so that when we run into a movement that suddenly we feel unstable and not capable, not strong enough, that often we try to power through it and like muscle our way through it. And this is an invitation to slow down and claim these tools that you already have that make things so much easier. Why not? We all want a little more ease in our life, right? So again, just letting yourself, as you breathe in, it supports the body in growing, which the core, which is part, the psoas muscle is a big piece of this, right? Which is also attached to the nervous system. So this all also nourishes our nervous system when we move in this way. So letting yourself inhale and exhale. Right. Growing. I'm even going to let both halves of my upper body grow with it. And then exhale, shrinking. I'm also bringing my head and my tail into it now. I can do it with just without my arms. Head and tail. And then I can let my head and tail become neutral and let my leg move in a stabilized pelvis. As this left leg stabilizes, my pelvis is stable, my upper body is stable. Okay. So that's just a little taste of how you can use breath and Core-Distal to help support you. And so I'm just going to invite you, we're right at the 16-minute mark. So I'm just going to invite you to stand up and just to let yourself come back into all of those pieces that I did, right? And just letting yourself imagine, okay, when you breathe in, this leg moving forward, this leg stable. Think about all your yoga, your Tai Chi, you're moving through the day, you're walking, you're exhaling with little effort. And much easier. Stable in one leg, mobile in the other. You're stable in the one leg in the lower body and stabilizing because the upper body is yielding down into that leg. Right? Ah, such a beautiful, beautiful way to move. So thank you so much for joining me. Check out my other videos. Check out my website. Please leave me comments. And remember, whatever is going on, we are all in this together.